Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, distinguished guests, and folks of all stripes, put your hands together for the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Houston, we have Paul Salazar Jr.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Salazar Jr. This is the podcast for all diehard Houston Astros fans. Welcome back if you're a diehard Houston Astros fan. This is your home. We love being positive about the Astros here on this podcast, even when they aren't doing too great. We like to be realistic about them, of course, but I'm just saying this is a place for fans of the Houston Astros. We definitely have been struggling this season, but we are still trying to figure out ways to support this team and to help them move forward, folks. Congratulations. The Astros are now in second place in the AL West, climbing their way up, folks. So we have some stuff to be positive about today. I'm your host, Paul Salazar Jr. I'm a Houston native, but I live out here in Los Angeles. I am an entertainment professional. That's right, folks. I'm a comedy writer. I'm a joke writer. I am a silly goose. I do improv and ridiculous stuff for money. That's me. I now have a podcast now. We are out here in studio in Los Angeles. I'm here with my co-producer and my co-host, Carla the dog. The Roz to my Frasier. She is sleeping on the floor in front of the AC because it is hot, 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 folks. All right, well, let's get into it. Let's get to the podcast here, folks. I was very fortunate to get 2 off days, just like the Astros were this week. You know, we were very fortunate to get some off days this month and some off days this week. The Astros have needed it in their schedule. I have needed it because I have been sick for quite some time. It seems like I've been sick. I've been sick as long as Kyle Tucker has been hurt, it feels like. So it's definitely been a while. I'm rehabbing here. I don't need a rehab center in the minors. Perhaps I do. Perhaps this podcast is the minor leagues, but I do not need a rehab start. I am back at it, folks. Since we last talked, the Astros the Astros hosted the Tigers at home and took the series 2-1 on Saturday. We'll start at the 14th. Friday the 14th, the Astros won 4-0 behind a great performance by Hunter Brown. It was a great pitcher's duel that the Astros were able to win to get some offense out there, put 4 runs up. And the next game, unfortunately, was very tough. On Saturday's game, unfortunately, Justin Verlander was not able to pitch. He had to be pulled due to neck discomfort. Let me tell you, my neck was uncomfortable watching that game. Spencer Arrighetti started the game. He was on 4-day rest. It was regular rest for him. He was able to pitch. He was told that he might have to pitch early. However, I think just knocking him out of that rotation a little bit, he wasn't quite ready. He did not look sharp. Spencer Arrighetti has been bringing spaghetti for the last couple starts, but this dish was not what we wanted, unfortunately. Spencer Arrighetti didn't make it out of the second inning. Sean Dubin came in and he was not able to perform quite as well either. The hero of that game for a 13-5 game that we lost, there really isn't much of a hero. However, the hero of that game, pitching wise, at least the one who went in there and got some outs, was Nick Hernandez. Nick Hernandez was recently traded to the Astros for cash considerations from the San Diego Padres. He's been a pitcher in the Houston Astros organization in the past. And he showed up in this game and got some outs when the Astros needed some outs. He basically pitched 3 2/3 of an inning so that we did not need to use a position player later in the game. And almost, in a way, gave the Astros a chance. Coming back to score 13 is statistically very tough to do, but the Astros were able to score some points. If the game didn't get completely out of hand, perhaps he would have given the Astros a chance to get back in it. So it was good to see that performance from Nick Hernandez. He got 5 strikeouts. He did finally let up a home run towards the end of his outing. I believe that was on his 50th pitch or something like that. So he really had a good game. for the young relief pitcher. Unfortunately, the day after that, on Father's Day, Nick Hernandez was sent back down to the minors, and the Astros recalled. Oh my gosh! Give me 1 second here to get the name. They recalled Contreras to the Luis Contreras was called up to the main team, and Hernandez was sent back down there. Yeah, so the next day, the Astros were able to win yesterday on Father's Day, wearing those wonderful Father's Day Astros hats. I really like those hats. Not dropping a hint, just saying those are some nice hats. I don't think there's many Astros hats I don't like. But behind a Ronald Blanco solid performance, the Astros were able to win 4-1 on Father's Day. It was good to see Jose Altuve hit a home run off of Kenta Maeda in a 2017 throwback. They put on social media, a lot of people put up that split screen of him hitting it seemed like the same exact pitch, the same exact home run to the same exact spot. So it was good to see Jose Altuve continue his success this season, to continue his all-star performance this season. So it was good to see that Blanco is continuing his tear. Ronald Blanco yesterday, or I should say 2 days ago, I apologize. I forgot that yesterday was an off day for the Astros, even though I just said it. But on Father's Day, Ronald Blanco went 7 innings. He picked up 8 outs, but he did pick up 3 walks. He did walk the bases loaded. He walked 2 batters and then plunked another guy to load the bases, but was able to get out of that jam. Heater also came in. He pitched the 8th inning, was only gave up a hit, and then Hader came in. Hader gave up 2 hits and a run, but was able to get 2 strikeouts still, and what the Astros were able to get out of that game without much damage or it getting much closer. But that was a tough moment where you're just like, oh no, we can't have this. So winning 2 out of 3 games against the Tigers after cutting Jose Abreu, isn't exactly the dominance that I was hoping for out of the Astros. I definitely was hoping they would win the series. Let's not get that part wrong. Don't get it twisted. However, I was really hoping that they could sweep this and get a double sweep of the Tigers and the White Sox, because frankly, they need it. While we're looking at the standings, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, the Astros are in second place right now in the West. They hold a 33-39 record, which ties the Texas Rangers. But because the Astros have just slightly more wins than the Rangers do in the head-to-head, they win the tiebreaker, and the Astros are second. The Rangers have lost 4 games in a row. They have a 3-7 record in their last 10 games. So you're hoping that the Astros, if they can remain consistent, can keep climbing up, and the Rangers, if they keep losing, will keep staying in the middle of the pack, and the Astros can change their fortunes here. However, while it's nice to kind of, dunk on the Rangers there and laugh about their woes, when we look ahead, the Mariners are now 43-31. Their last 10 games are 7-3, and they are on a 3-game winning streak. So like I said in the previous podcast, the Mariners are starting to gain some ground. They are starting to get some momentum, and if the Astros are not able to actually win some series and to get some consistency and not just, kind of tread water here and win 50% of their games, the Mariners could really pull away with the division right now. The Astros have been very fortunate that the other teams in this division have had really dreadful starts, just as well as the Astros. I mean, I do think that the Mariners right now have earned the title of best team in this division because of their pitching. However, I do think that their batting is suspect. Their run differential is plus 19. That's kind of nuts. I mean, it's really nuts to be winning your division with a plus 19 run differential. I mean, right now the Astros run differential is a plus 4. And for context, the Rangers, who have the same exact record, their run differential was a negative 17. So, it's kind of like top three seeding here is pretty wild right now for the AL West. I do think that, while, I do make my jokes about the Mariners being a mediocre team, and it's not just me saying that, that's Forbes magazine saying that. I like to say that, good pitching and pitching really can win you championships. So the Mariners are not to be joked about until the Astros are able to pass them in the standings. The Astros really need to solidify and need to get consistent so that they can be a better team than the Mariners. If I'm joking that the Mariners are mid and mediocre, what does that mean about the Astros? It means that they are a little step down from that right now. So they need to be consistent and they need to get better. But just for reference, just for a frame of reference here, the New York Yankees, who have been amazing this season, sadly, they're 50-24. They're leading the AL East above the Baltimore Orioles, above the Boston Red Sox. The Yankees' run differential is 124, plus 124. The Orioles plus 114. The Red Sox, who are in third place in the AL East, have a plus 42 run differential, which is a vast difference from the third place AL West team, the Rangers, which are negative 17. The Rags are struggling there. I really think that the path to success for the Astros, like I've said in the beginning of the season, and I think it remains the same now. The path for success for the Houston Astros will be to win the division and not to rely on the wild card. Now, they can sneak into a wild card, of course. There's one more wild card. It is possible, but with the way that the AL Central and the AL East, the way they are playing baseball, it doesn't seem like any team from the AL West is going to go to the playoffs besides the division leader, unless a team in the second place or third place team in the AL West really starts turning it around. So we shall see. It's definitely tough when you're hoping to sweep your competition and you have another injury. The Astros just can't get away from the injury woes. It's tough. We were really hoping. I think if Verlander was in there and Arrighetti, had his regular start, I do think there's a reality in which the Astros could have swept the Tigers. Sorry, AJ Hinch. Sorry, old pal. Not trying to talk too much shade here, but the Astros did score, a minimum of 4 runs in each of those games, and that game on Saturday just seemed insane. The amount of hits and the way that the Detroit Tigers got going there against Arrighetti. I feel like if they could have just had a more of a quality start out of Verlander, really got the momentum going on their side, hopefully Arrighetti wouldn't be having those problems that he did on Saturday on Sunday. I could see the reality in which the Astros could have swept this team. However, they didn't. Who knows? Maybe Arrighetti just doesn't have his best stuff in this weekend, and the Tigers would have just hit him around on Sunday, on Father's Day. Who knows? But, it is sad that we are in a situation where the Astros are winning 2 out of 3 games consistently, and it is still not enough. It is enough to get them to second place, though. So we will take a little bit of that win that the Astros are moving up the rankings. This is the direction that the Astros should be going. And like I said in the last podcast, this is still a good team. Arguably, this is not a great team yet, but they are still a good team. On paper, they do have greatness, and they do have the pedigree to win games and to know what it takes to win. So I have not lost hope in this team. For those of you who have been paying attention to the podcast, you know that this is the home. The Space Cadet Sports Podcast is the home for the official Houston Astros panic meter this season. I do it tongue-in-cheek. It is very silly, but if you have not been to the Substack, if you've not been to the blog, go check out the blog. Go check out the Substack at spacecadetsports.substack.com. You can get every podcast. You can get every meme. You can get every video podcast. You can know what I'm talking about and go see the actual panic meter. Right now, I have the panic meter set pretty low. It's not panicking yet. But what the meter says, it says it's go time. This month is the month the Astros need to be, if they're not leading the division, within an actual puncher's chance of winning the division at the end of this month. They also need to be healthy. Now, with Christian Javier and Jose Urquidy on getting Tommy John surgery and recovering, they're not going to be back for a while. That really puts the pressure on Luis Garcia and Lance McCullers Jr. At the beginning of the season, Luis Garcia and Lance McCullers Jr. were kind of just, a safety net. We're like, when we get there, we're just going to be rich. We're going to have like 75 starting pitchers once they get better, But right now, if the Astros are going to have a deep run this season, if they are going to want success, well, of course they want it, but if they are going to have success in the playoffs, they are going to need more consistent starting pitching. And with Hunter Brown, with Spencer Arrighetti, and with Ronald Blanco all being relatively young pitchers who have not had a lot of innings, a lot of high inning counts on their arms, this podcaster is a little worried about how consistent those arms can be going into the end of the season. I am more bullish on Ronald Blanco because he is older, because he has more miles on his arm, because he has more experience. I think that there is a reality where Ronald Blanco can be this guy all season long. But that's still to be determined. He has not done it yet. So that's why there is that hesitancy. And Ronald Blanco, he has been the ace. Hunter Brown has started the most games. Hunter Brown has been the perfect metaphor for the Astros this season, how sometimes they're great and sometimes they just give up a lot of runs in the first and they're tragic, So we're hoping that Hunter Brown can get solidified, and he's not going to give us the Jekyll Hyde Hunter Brown performances. But Ronald Blanco has truly been the ace this season, with all the injuries and with Fromber and JV being injured and having some seesaw performances. Ronald Blanco has stepped into that ace role, so we're really hoping that he can be consistent for us in the late season. However, at the end of this last Ronald Blanco start, Jose Altuve said that he deserves to be an all-star. And that, I think he's right. I mean, I think Ronald Blanco has a great season. I think he is worthy of all-star consideration. I know some people will kind of bring up the point that he did get suspended. He did that sticky stuff, kind of soap opera that happened this year. But I think I think everybody agrees that is just umpire foolishness. Even the Astros haters can't get behind that because they know that is just some foolishness. So I do think Ronald Blanco, should be considered for the All-Star game. And that's not just from me, that's from Jose Altuve as well, who is the leading vote getter for second baseman. We also have two other Astros that are getting starting jobs right now in the All-Star game if it was to start today. And that would be designated hitter Yordan Alvarez as well, and right fielder Kyle Tucker, Yordan, and Altuve are all headed towards the All-Star game if it was going to start today. So, where you're at right now, stop what you're doing and go vote for the Astros in the All-Star game, because the fan vote is very important. And I don't know if you know this about the Astros, but there's not a lot of fans that like this team outside of Houston. So, if Houston wants some representation, they're going to have to vote. And I just want to remind you, now more than ever, that voting is very important. Get your voice heard. Don't be one of those people that's like, it doesn't matter. My voice doesn't matter. Go vote. Now, this obviously, I'm being facetious. This is not just about the All-Star game, but this is about every matter. Representation matters. What you think matters, and being kind to others and actually getting the right representatives in there are important. And we are here for Altuve, Alvarez, and Tucker today. And also, let's get Blanco in there. Get Blanco some representation. It would be great. I know it'd be kind of a long shot unless he just keeps dominating the way he's dominating. He's just inevitable. But let's try to get him out there, folks. I would love to see Ronald Blanco getting his first start as an all-star in Arlington. Let's give Arlington something to actually cheer for and send some Houston Astros up there for that All-Star game. That being said, let's kind of go ahead. Let's look at the series against the White Sox. The Houston Astros are going to Chicago to visit their old friends Martin Maldonado and Corey Julks up at the White Sox team. Honestly, it's like let me double check that. I know that Julks was playing earlier this season, but let's see. He's still. I was like, oh man, he's still on the team, right? He was playing out of his mind earlier, but yeah, Corey Julks will be there with the White Sox. Hopefully, we'll get to see the Julkster while we're in the South Side there. I think when we're looking at the pitching matchups on Tuesday, the Astros have Framber Valdez going out against Jonathan Cannon. Jonathan Cannon this season is 0-1. And with a 4.56 ERA and 23 innings pitched. He's a young pitcher. His whip is at 1.35. So I think this guy, let's see, in his game started, he has 4 games started this season with 1 save. So he's kind of a guy that a younger pitcher who's finding his role in the organization. So we will see what Cannon has to bring, but we'll also see what Valdez is up to. Valdez has had a really up and down season so far. So we're hoping for some consistency from Framber Valdez. Another guy looking for consistency the Astros are sending up is Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown so far this season is 3-5 with a 5 ERA. He's bringing those numbers down. He has 76 strikeouts on the season. He will be pitching against Garrett Crochet. Garrett Crochet, definitely the Astros are familiar with him. He is a former first-round pick for the White Sox there. He is 6-5 this season with a 3.16 ERA and a sub-1 WHIP and 116 strikeouts in 82 innings. So this guy is just out there and he's been flame throwing, guys. So I really think that the Astros have had a lot of success against the left-handed pitchers, but they will have to go in there and be pretty patient against this guy and make sure that they are not swinging outside the zone so that they can actually put Hunter Brown in a position to win this game and not just kind of give Crochet the easy outs and easy strikeouts. And in the third game of the White Sox series, this will be the early game. The Astros are hoping for a JV game here. They say that JV is a probable start against the White Sox. They're hoping that he can make the Chicago trip. So we will see if JV is able to pitch that game. The White Sox will be sending out Chris Flexen. He's going to be flexing on fools out there. However, these stats aren't looking too great for Flexen, so we're hoping that the Astros can flex on him. He is 2-6 with a 5.35 ERA. With 51 strikeouts and 67 innings pitched and a whip of 1.40, which are fairly standard to his career numbers. It's looking like he's kind of at his career numbers right now this season a bit. His ERA is a little elevated, but yeah, it's that's Flexen. Is a former Mariner. Former Met. We'll see what Flexen has to bring against the TBD that the Astros are throwing out there. Now, I'm not sure because of the day of rest, maybe it will be an Arrighetti day. That day, I don't know if it isn't Arrighetti. There is a potential. Maybe it could be Dubin. Sheldon Dubin can maybe start the game. Or there has been talks of Jake Bloss. Jake Bloss is a minor league pitcher for the Houston Astros who has been incredible. It looks like this guy might be a pitcher of the future. He's definitely rising in the prospect rankings in the Houston Astros organization. I think Bloss, there's been a lot of talk about him, so much so that the organization has even said that Jake Bloss could see a call-up this season. I don't know if that means this week, but the Astros could be struggling for pitching. That we also still have Lauer on the roster. That is another option. I don't know his minor league stats, to be honest, so I don't know what he's looking like, what shape he's in, and if the Astros are trusting him to make a start. But there is a potential for him to be there. And I didn't want to say this. I really. I was hesitant to say this because I don't think this man needs any press or needs anybody to be talking about him, but I thought it was just hilarious. I'm going to do it just because I think it's hilarious and we need to make fun of this man, but I thought it was hilarious that Trevor Bauer was on social media picking up an Astros hat in a store, like in a Lids in some mall or something, trying to say that the Astros are going to add him to the team. What a joke. Why do we need Bauer when we have Lauer? You know what I'm saying? Like anybody who thinks that guy is a good pitcher or thinks that the Astros or any organization needs to waste resources on that petulant child that also is probably not a good guy. And I know he got acquitted of those accusations aren't true. Let me tell you something. If you got a lot of accusations about you being a terrible human being, I don't know. I don't know. I tend to trust what people say. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty, of course. But I'm just saying that guy is not a good dude. You look the way he acts. You look the way that you see the way he acts on the field. Like, Bauer is a bad dude. He's a hypocrite. He's a loser. And I hope that no team ever takes a chance on him because no team should be that desperate. He's not even that good of a pitcher anymore. I mean, maybe at one point he was a good enough pitcher where people would put up with his nonsense looking at ULA, but we don't want that distraction and that nonsense on our team. And I'm glad that I could feel confident the Astros would not make any kind of terrible decision like that. I don't know what I would do, but I just thought it was so silly and so humorous that this man's so desperate that he's trying to get attention on social media by picking up by just showing a hat on Lids. We don't want you, Bauer. Nobody really wants you, dude. You're a clown, all right? And any fan that is out there trying to be like, we could use him, grow up. You're just trying to be obnoxious. You don't really know the game of baseball if you think the Astros could really use that guy. Go watch some of his pitches in the Mexican League. Go go see what he actually looks like. Stop trying to support a terrible person just because you think you are an outsider. But yeah, so I don't think that guy's going to be joining the team, and I definitely don't think that guy's going to be starting. I really think Lauer has a better chance of starting over Bauer, and that's just going forward in any major league game for the rest of time. I think that's that I would put a FanDuel bet on that. But we will see if Verlander is ready for the early game in Chicago. We're hoping that he is. We need him. We need consistent pitching. We need consistent performances right now. The Astros offense is looking fairly good. Without Kyle Tucker, I was really worried about where the Astros offense would be and if they would be struggling. And yes, we do need I think if we had Kyle Tucker on this team, we would have swept. We would not have dropped the Giants series. We would have swept perhaps Detroit. I think Kyle Tucker has been the MVP this season. We do need him. It has been assuring that the Astros offense can survive without him, but we desperately need him back. So we're hoping that Kyle Tucker will be back ASAP. Because we do need him on this team. After the series in Chicago, the Houston Astros will be coming back home for a homestand against the Orioles. So, that being said, this is pretty much a sweep situation for the Astros. I think I'm not saying they have to sweep, but if they don't sweep this team, I do think that it will be a bit of a disappointment in the organization because they are trying so hard to get wins, because they've made big moves on their roster to get wins and to get better performances. So I feel like they're going into Chicago looking for a sweep. When they're coming back to Houston to play the Orioles, this is going to be a tough series. This will be one of the tougher series in quite some time for the Astros. The Orioles will bring it, and the Astros will have to be healthy and will have to be ready. So, there is a potential for Kyle Tucker needing a minor league rehab start. And if that happens, that means that Kyle Tucker might not be ready for the Orioles series. I think we will need Kyle Tucker for the Orioles series. If we don't have Kyle Tucker for that series, the Astros will have to really perform at a top level. They will not be able to do this thing that the Astros do where, one aspect of the team isn't performing at its best. It seems like it's either the pitching or the hitting, and some days it's the defense, or sometimes it's the base running. The Astros will need to be firing on all cylinders against the Orioles, no matter what. However, after they play the Orioles, they do get a day off, and then they get to play the Rockies for 2 games at home, and then get another day off. So we're going into a little bit of a, while we do have to play the Orioles, this has been a very cushy, kind of schedule for the Astros compared to May, and definitely compared to the rest of their schedule this season. So, I really think that this series against the White Sox, you got to take 2 games. But we're really hoping for 3 games against the White Sox. And if the Astros can win those 3 games, they will start closing that gap between them and the Mariners and actually start rising up that ranks and keeping their foot on the Rangers' neck, as they have had their foot on their neck all season. It has been a really, tough battle between the team from Arlington, but the Astros are coming out victorious. They have their neck on the team from Arlington, and we can hope that continues going forward and they step up and climb up the ranks, folks. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and close out this episode of the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast today, folks. We very much appreciate y'all out there in podcast land. If you'd be so kind and go check out the Substack at spacecadetsports.substack.com. You get every podcast episode. You get every video podcast, every meme, every game series recap, every game preview mailed directly to your email box. All you have to do is put your email in there and you get it for free, folks. Or if you like the app like I do, you download the Substack app, you become a subscriber to me there, and you get all of the things, all of the memes, all of the articles, all the podcasts directly pushed to your notifications. You can look at it there on the app and you don't have to deal with the email. Whatever direction you want to take it, please go check out the Substack. Go check it out. We really would appreciate it here. This is your home for Houston Astros coverage this season. If you're a diehard Houston Astros fan and a native Houstonian like myself, if you want to check me out, you can check me out on social media at Paul Salazar Jr. Thank you so much, folks, for the support for the podcast. We very much do appreciate it. We're trying to grow, trying to learn, trying to become a better podcast for all Astros fans out there. If you'd be so kind, please subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening to it on, and give us a like, give us a rating and review, give us a 5-star review, share it with other people, share it with other Astros fans. Let them know, I should say, that we are out there and that we are supporting this team all season long and all life long, because we're Houston born and bred. We love this team, absolutely, and we're hoping that this team could keep climbing up the ranks and make us proud this season and continue their relentless pursuit here, folks. We want to see them be #relentless, right? Also, real quick, shout out to my man Orbit. My man Orbit got inducted into the Mascot Hall of Fame. You love to see it. He is a Hall of Fame caliber mascot. We all love Orbit here on the podcast. Shout out Orbit. Love you, bro. Thank you for being a fan of the Houston Astros, folks. Keep your head up. And as always, vamos Astros.